Colosseum. What is the Colosseum? Have you ever been to a big stadium to watch your favorite team play football or baseball? Do you remember how it felt when your team came onto the playing field? Now take a step back almost 2,000 years to the Roman Empire. Imagine you are seated among ancient Romans in the largest, oldest, and most famous sport area in the world, the Roman Colosseum. Rome past and present. The Roman Empire began with Emperor Caesar Augustus in 27 BCE. It ended in 476 CE. At one point, the Roman Empire covered much of Europe, as well as the Middle East and part of North Africa. Ancient Rome had lasting effects on the world. Many countries modeled their laws after those developed by the Romans. The ways that buildings were made during the Roman Empire continue to influence modern building design. For example, Romans perfected to the use of concrete, a strong building material still in use. Today, Rome, also known as the Eternal City, is a busy place visitors from across the globe come to enjoy its museum, monuments, and food. Although a ruin, the Colosseum remains an amazing piece of architecture. It is an important landmark in Rome, the capital of Italy and one of the biggest cities in Europe. The Colosseum is always one of the most famous monuments in the world, standing for glory of ancient Rome. The history of Colosseum. The Colosseum was built as a very large outdoor theater called an amphitheater. An amphitheater is a round or oval building with tiles of seats rising in curved rows around an open space. Audience went to an amphitheater to see different types of games. In the first century CE, the Roman Empire was expanding. The Romans were conquering peoples around the Mediterranean area and northwestern Europe. The, the empire population was about 50 to 60 million, or approximately one-fifth of the world population. As the Romans grew in power, they began to build larger buildings such as Colosseum. The original claim of the Colosseum was the Flavian Amphitheater. The Flavians were a Roman family that commanded the empire between 69 and 96 CE. Their dynasty began under Vespasian, who started building the Colosseum. Emperor Vespasian became very popular with the people because he built the Colosseum on land where the palace of a previous unpopular emperor had stood. Now the land wasn't for the emperor but rather for the people. The Colosseum was also built to showcase the power of Rome to the world. After Vespasian died, his son Titus oversaw the completion of the Colosseum. Building the Colosseum, about 33,000 metric tons, 36,376 tons of soil were removed from a large area to make a deep hole for the Colosseum. Next, huge stone supports, 12 meters 40 feet tall, were placed for its foundation. Then concrete was poured into the pit. Once the concrete was dry, workers added brick wall to support the weight of amphitheater. Much of the building work was done by Jewish people who were enslaved following the first Jewish-Roman war. Historians think that more than 10 to 200,000 292,000 carloads of heavy stone blocks were used to build just the outer wall of the Colosseum. As the building grew higher, lighter stone were used to lessen the weight. Romans invented wooden cranes to lift the heavy stone and concrete. Enslaved workers would climb into a large wheel and walk inside of it, rotating along the central shaft. A crane would then pull in or release a connected pulley that extended out along the crane lifting bar. As a result, heavy stone could be lifted as needed. Important features: the Colosseum is roughly the size of a modern sports stadium. It measures 189 meters (620 feet) long and 156 meters (512 feet) wide. The Colosseum could hold 50,000 spectators, many more than any other amphitheater at that time. At the time, its floor was made of wooden planks covered in loose sand brought to Rome from Egypt. The Colosseum has four main floors with 80 arches on each of the first three floors. These arches support the weight of stone above them all. On the first floor were used an entrance and access. A huge cover called a velarium could be extended over the Colosseum. It was made of canvas and held in place by ropes attached by two wooden beams at the top of the area. The velarium provided much needed shade for spectators. Without it, they would have spent entire days baking under the sun. Beneath the Colosseum was a complex underground system of roofs and hallways, called the Hypogeum, which means underground in Latin. There are fighters called gladiators as animals waited before emerging into the area. Violence and the ancient Romans. Violence was an important part of ancient Roman culture. The myth of the founding of Rome tell how Romulus killed his twin brother Remus after an argument over where to build the city. Artwork celebrating violence appeared in many settings in Rome, including its monuments and public buildings. They, un- they include scenes from mythological stories, gladiatorial combat, and military conquest. They serve as reminders of Roman might and the power of the emperor. The games. The main attraction at the Colosseum were the games, which started at dawn and last until darkness fell. One of the first events was the wild animals display. Following this came the brutal animal hunts. Emperor would often shoot at the animal with bows and arrows. Animal trained then teased wild animals into fighting people. Do you know? Slavery in ancient Rome was not based on a person's skin color or where they were from. Most people enslaved by the Romans were taken captive during wartime. Many Roman generals, including Julius Caesar, became rich by selling conquered people into slavery. In the afternoon, the famous gladiator contest took place. Gladiators were trained at a gladiator school called a ludus. Some gladiators were prisoners of war, criminals, or enslaved men seeking freedom. Others were free men and retired soldiers who wanted fame and fortune. Gladiators often fought to the death. At times they would ask for mercy. The crown was concerned as to whether a fighter should be allowed to live. Over time, Christianity began to take hold across the empire, and fewer people supported the deadly game. Romans also faced financial and military problems. Emperors preferred to spend money on fighting war rather than on repair to the Colosseum. The importance of the ancient building began to decline around 300 BCE. By 600 CE, it had been severely damaged by neglect, lightning, and earthquakes. Afterward, it was sometimes used as a quarry for other buildings. Builders took pieces of the Colosseum to use for their own purposes. The Colosseum today. Over many years, natural disaster and vandalism has destroyed nearly two-thirds of the Colosseum. Since the early 1990s, several repairs have brought this nearly 2,000 years old landmark closer to its ancient glory. Its walls were cleaned in June 2016 at a cost of worth more than 33 million. Much of the soot and grime that had piled up over the years was due to automobile fumes. The number of cars now allowed in the area has been reduced. Only cabs and buses may travel around the Colosseum on weekdays. On weekends, only people riding bicycle or on foot are permitted. The Colosseum is one of the most famous and recognizable monuments to have survived from the ancient world. It is also one of the most popular places in Italy. Be- Between 4 and 6 million people venture inside its stone walls every year. In 2007, the Colosseum was chosen as one of the new seven wonders of the world. Today, it stands as a symbol of the power and greatness of the Roman Empire.